The last movie review I filmed froze shortly before I started the review. So this time, I've got my OBS on my second monitor. It's going to be super distracting, you guys. Please bear with me. All right, this is a review for Gladiator II. It happened to be the Monday mystery movie. As of the recording of this, I have not had the live stream yet with deleted scenes and Paul from Off the Cover and maybe Kyle. We're going to have that on Tuesday night at 7, but I wanted to go ahead and get this review out of the way because I decided I would just go ahead and do a separate review. This film, I'm going to start right off the bat by saying I don't know quite what to think about this movie. I mean, I have settled feelings about it, but it's hard to formulate. It's definitely not as good as the first one, and the first one is a hard act to follow. And in all honesty, this felt like it was made by another director, even though I know Ridley Scott directed this one. The main actor who plays the character that becomes a gladiator, I can't remember his name, I'll put it up on the screen. He does not have the charisma or the screen presence to carry this movie the way Russell Crowe did in the first film. It was nice to see some familiar faces, such as Connie Nielsen and Derek Jacobi. There might have been some others, I just am not remembering. And it was cool to see Denzel. I knew Denzel was going to be part of it. I had no clue what role he was going to play. I did not watch the trailers for this at all because I had decided I was going to go see it. But I did know a plot point that was part of the story. The plot point aggravated some people, and I'll go ahead and say what it was because they gave it away in the trailer. It's that was Maximus's son. Now, some people had a beef with that because they thought that it was kind of degrading to the character of Maximus because, oh, well, he was cheating on his wife. But I didn't really feel that way because in the first movie, it is never really indicated very clearly at all that this child is his. You know, there were hints of a relationship between him and the character that Connie Nielsen plays, but there's no indication that this child is his, that he even knows that the child is his. Also, is about 12 in the story. They specifically mention that in this second one. From what I can remember, Maximus's child with his wife from the first movie is younger than that. So, you know, he could have hooked up with her, made this baby, not even known it, and then got married and had his own family. So I don't really feel like the reveal of this, even though it does honestly feel like it was something that Ridley Scott decided he would do to make it this sort of interesting twist to the story for the second one. I honestly don't know if he had it decided in his mind way back when he made the first one. I kind of doubt it, but I might be wrong. But this reveal wasn't the issue for me that it was for some people. So I don't feel like it degraded his character. It gives you an emotional connection with the character in the second movie. And there are callbacks and references to Maximus multiple times. His presence is felt in this film, even though obviously he's not there. There are some flashback scenes shown, and then they show what happens immediately after he dies with and his mother. The problem with this movie is that I feel like it didn't flow quite as well as the first one, and the moments of tension that were crafted quite well in the first Gladiator, it doesn't feel like it was crafted in the same way, which kind of ties into the feeling I already mentioned about how Gladiator II doesn't even seem like a movie from the same director. The action scenes were okay. Some of the violence, it was fairly graphic. The battles and stuff, you know, in the Colosseum were okay. The lead up to showing you how the character becomes a gladiator was, I thought, pretty well done. The battle at the beginning, I felt like it was filmed quite well. There are moments where it's obvious CGI with the animals. There is at one point some hairless monkeys or baboons or something that they go up against. And while some portions of it looked okay, other portions of it were very obviously CGI. And it's just, to me, there's no reason for CGI of 2024 to be not as good as CGI from 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's ridiculous, honestly. I don't understand this. There was also CGI, or obvious CGI, with the scene that involves sharks in the Colosseum. That stood out, and those kind of jar you right out of the situation when it's so obvious. At some point, the way the storyline progresses, I thought I had a handle on the type of character that Denzel was going to be, but I was incorrect about an important part of it, because there's some stuff that happens with this character that I did not anticipate, and he becomes a different type of character than I was expecting. He becomes very important in the storyline and the events that lead up to the climax. I'm not so sure that I was super thrilled about the way that was done, the way it was written. At some point, this story started eventually feeling like some sort of soap opera with all this scheming and all these things going on and the plotting. And yes, there was that in the first one, but for whatever reason, it felt like it was carried off a little better than how it was here. The setup for the conflict between the character of and the character that Pedro Pascal plays, I cannot remember that character's name. I thought it started with an A. The setup for the conflict between them, it felt a bit contrived, and it happens early on because Pedro Pascal's character is involved in a battle that is involved in, and there is something that happens in that battle that sets up the issue that has with Pedro's character. I felt like that setup wasn't done very well. It didn't feel organic. It felt like it was something that was shoehorned in, that was forced in because we had to have this in order to have stuff that happened at the end. I felt like that was a bit weak. And the way the final conflict carried out didn't feel satisfying. And there's like a speechy thing that happens at the end, similar to what happens at the end of the first one. But for whatever reason, it did not have the emotional punch, the emotional weight to it that it had in the first movie. So while this film was not something that I hated, and I was quite happy actually when it was revealed that this was going to be the movie, I didn't walk away from it completely in love with what I had seen. This did make my list of most anticipated films, and it's not going to make my list of best films for 2024. It's not going to make my list of worst or most disappointing because I didn't go into it with anticipation that was way up here. However, it wasn't anything that completely wowed me or blew me away or made me have a burning desire to watch it again. I was going to go see it on Thursday already. I'd bought my ticket. I'm going to go ahead and cancel it because I've already seen it and I'm not clamoring to see it again. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the weekend with the box office. Critics have given it fairly solid reviews. It's in the mid-70s right now. I kind of feel like the audience isn't going to agree completely, but I might be wrong. We'll see. And I think that's about all I have to say for Gladiator 2. If you watch it, let me know what you think. And that's it for this video, you guys. Adios.